Divine warning. Ignore this prophetic message at your own risk. 7 heavenly truths revealed. The moon hung low over the quaint English village, casting silver beams across the cobblestone path leading to the chapel. It was there that Emma knelt, hands clasped tightly in prayer, her heart ignited with divine urgency. A warm warmth enveloped her, and from the depths of her soul, 7 heavenly truths surged forth like a river of light, each one distinct, shimmering with miraculous potential. She could almost hear the chimes of angels, their hymns filling the chapel with celestial melody. She was chosen for something monumental. Unseen by the world, a shimmer of ethereal light danced in the air, casting shadows that whispered the secrets of faith. Miracles abounded. Last Sunday, a toddler had spoken fluent words of wisdom, a voice that belonged not to his years. The villagers gaped in disbelief as he recounted life lessons that seemed plucked from the heavens. Just days before, a blind man had seen for the first time, and his cries of joy echoed through the square, filling hearts with renewed hope. Such a wondrous season, the villagers murmured, eyes wide, hearts racing with all that was possible. But darkness loomed near. Plague-like ailments gripped the hearts of the community, and buried doubts began to creep into conversations like unwelcome intruders. "Why would our prayers go unanswered?" whispered Mrs. Partridge, her face ashen as she clutched her crumbling rosary, while Mr. Collins stared into the distance, wrestling with his own skepticism. Feeling the weight of these shared doubts, Emma knew she must stand firm. A vivid image tore through her mind, painting a picture of hope, of life beyond despair. Those divine truths, the keys of healing, love, unity, and restoration, swirled around her, begging to be unleashed. What if I shared them with the village? She pondered. The thought ignited a fire deep within. Yet with it came fear of ridicule, fear of rejection. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. On an evening filled with uncertainty, Emma stood before the villagers, her heart racing. "I have seen a vision. 7 heavenly truths," she proclaimed, her voice a blend of tremor and determination. Gasps filled the air. Some villagers exchanged skeptical glances. Little by little, division bred within the crowd. Science versus spirit, reason clashing with faith. A turbulent gathering unfolded, where calming words turned to heated debates. "Emma," a voice called in denial, "can we trust these fanciful visions?" The air thickened, and Emma felt small, her heart pounding with disappointment. She tried to push through hope, but human limitations crept up like shadows in the dark. Just when despair cloaked her heart, something changed. As they collectively bowed their heads once more, the atmosphere shifted. A longtime villager, once paralyzed, rose before Emma and the congregation. The collective gasp echoed louder than thunder. Hair-raising disbelief fluttered through the crowd. "I am healed," he proclaimed, faith coursing through his veins like wildfire. His cries sparked a fervor that caught light in the dimmest of hearts, and miracles had truly begun to dance in their midst. Yet questions swirled. Was this the affirmation Emma had sought? Had the truths she bore been revealed for the few, or for all? The village started to awaken, but doubts still cast long shadows. It left Emma in turmoil, poised at a fork in her path, waiting for the divine to confirm what lay ahead. How could they fully embrace this miracle? The crossroads of faith and doubt felt both exhilarating and terrifying, a sacred tension holding promise and uncertainty hand in hand, as all awaited divine confirmation. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves of ancient oak trees, creating a symphony that seemed to echo the hearts of those gathered. The atmosphere buzzed with an odd mix of hope and skepticism, a whisper of something greater curling through the air. Emma's heart quickened as the villagers looked at her, their eyes wide with uncertainty. She could feel the weight of their expectations and fears coalescing into a singular energy, urging her onward. "Friends," she began, her voice trembling but firm. "You've seen the miracle. Healing has touched our brother. Just think, what else might God have for us?" She felt an electric thrill at these words, though their significance hung in the air, waiting for acceptance. Mrs. Partridge leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "But can we rely solely on visions? Emma, what about our reality? We've prayed for so long." Her voice trailed off, doubt hanging heavily, a tether to the earthly concerns they all shared. A murmur rippled through the gathering. Emma recognized their struggle. The doubt, while painful, also opened a door. It opened the door to deeper truths waiting just beyond the surface. "We can't deny the change we witnessed," Emma responded, her passion igniting like a flame. "Faith is not blind. It sees the unseen." As if from nowhere, a child's clear voice rang out, shattering the heavy tension. "Emma, what about the 7 truths? Tell us more." The innocence of that question seemed to lift a veil, allowing light to filter in. Emma's heart soared. Here was a chance, a moment to share the divine revelations that had lit her spirit ablaze. Taking a deep breath, she took her place at the center of the circle, the villagers forming a semicircle around her, intrigued despite their hesitations. "The first truth is love," she began, her voice solid and clear. "Love is the wellspring of all miracles. Connects us, elevates us, and heals us. It calls us to open our hearts, even when the shadows seem to loom large. We must embrace love first," she continued, feeling the comforting embrace of the Spirit wrap around her. "The second truth is healing not just of the body, but of the heart and spirit. Each of us has wounds we carry. In acknowledging them, we can start the journey towards wholeness." As she spoke, an unseen current coursed through the crowd. More villagers leaned in, the energy shifting as Emma delivered each truth, calling forth a collective yearning for renewal. "The third truth is unity," she proclaimed with fervor. "Together we can rise above darkness. We must unite as a community, supporting one another through trials. No one should walk alone in faith." A gentle push from her spirit urged her to continue, and she surrendered to the divine flow. Each truth came alive. Each word resonated deeper. She could see hearts beginning to weave together, fears slowly dissipating like mist before the dawn. The fourth truth was restoration. God yearns to restore our spirits, to mend broken relationships, and bring families back together. Lifting her gaze, she met the eyes of the villagers, some sparkling with tears, others with that glimmer of rekindled hope. Emma navigated the final truths, courage and purpose, grace and faith. The village began to hum with something more than skepticism. It was a fragile inch of belief weaving through every heart like thread in a tapestry, outing their doubts by illuminating possibilities. Yet just as the light began to unfold, a gruff voice cut through the burgeoning hope. "What if this is just ephemeral? A fleeting moment?" A figure stepped forward, his countenance clouded with unresolved pain. "What if tomorrow brings disappointment again?" In that moment, Emma felt the weight of uncertainty settle once more. She realized that faith must walk hand in hand with doubt. It was not a simple resolve but a living journey. "We need faith to counter our fears," she urged gently, heart thumping wildly. "We must choose to trust in the divine, even amidst the questions." The night lingered around them, and the full moon hung high, casting a silvery glow across the chapel. Yet, questions still danced like shadows. Apprehension lingered in the air, as palpable as the miracles they yearned for. Would the villagers embrace the truths? Would they trust Emma and the visions she had seen? What future awaited them if they chose to step into uncertainty together? Only time held the answer, filled with both possibility and divine mystery. Emma knew she had opened the door. Now all awaited that holy breath to guide them through. And that divine moment of revelation hovered near, just out of reach. Emma's heart pounded as she faced the crowd, every pair of eyes drawing her in closer, each soul a flicker in the expanse of uncertainty. The shadows seemed to clasp at her, urging her to pick up the pieces of fear still scattered among the villagers' hearts. She needed to remind them just how powerful faith could be, if only they chose to believe. Friends, I know doubt can feel heavy. She began again, her voice softer this time but laced with strength. Yet doubt is often the doorway to deeper faith. It invites us to question so we might seek. She looked around, noting the silent nods, the flickers of hope overlaid with caution. I invite you to let love pour in, to stay open to what God is ready to reveal next. Mrs. Partridge remained in her spot, arms crossed tightly. But Emma, she interjected with concern, what if we are just chasing whispers on the wind? What if our hearts are misled? Her face was etched with fear, a mask Emma recognized all too well. Taking a gentle step forward, Emma answered, every whisper can indeed lead us to truth. Remember, we cannot control what has come before us, but we can choose how we respond to this moment. As if buoyed by her words, the crowd stirred. Whispers turned to murmurs, then voices raised in tentative agreement. Look, Emma said, what have you witnessed? A man healed. A glimmer of hope. She spread her arms wide, embracing the energy of the moment. What if this is but the beginning? What if God has plans that far exceed our imaginings? The moon grew brighter, illuminating the faces that began to shift from uncertainty to curiosity. Each flicker of flame within their hearts seemed to celebrate the possibility of what might lie ahead, a renewed tapestry of faith, love, and acceptance weaved flawlessly together. I want to share a vision I received. Emma stood taller, feeling warmth flow through her like a rushing river. As I prayed, I knew the Spirit was guiding me to a deeper understanding. The fifth truth is courage. It takes courage to step into the unknown. It takes courage to believe in the miracles just awaiting us, even when we can't see them clearly. The crowd seemed to lift at the mention of courage. She saw hearts expanding, minds racing with possibilities. One by one, voices began to join her. The supportive cries grew stronger, a rhythm building as one bellows into the vastness of night. The sixth truth is purpose. Each of you has a unique role to play in this journey. God's work cannot be done in solitude. We need one another to see His purpose unfold. Your gifts, your passions, they are part of the divine tapestry. Nodding heads began to shine like stars reborn, connections igniting throughout the gathering as each voice raised their hopes higher. There was a palpable pulse of expectancy among them that Emma's spirit soared, yet she sensed the apprehension that still hung over the gathering, a whisper reminding her that not everyone was ready to jump yet. And finally, she proclaimed with unwavering clarity, the seventh truth is grace. Grace is the thread that binds us, allowing us room to fall and rise again, believing that in our struggles and trials, God is not far. He is here waiting. Would they trust this message? A silence loomed briefly, heavy but not oppressive. Emma lifted her hands, inviting the energy of hope to fill the air. Will you step into the risk of faith? Just then, a flicker of movement caught her eye, and she turned to see the figure of a young boy, his face illuminated by the moonlight, stepping forward. Emma, he called, his voice quiet but firm. What if grace is what makes us brave enough to accept the impossible? The question hung in the air, each of the villagers pondering its weight. Emma felt an urge to hold this moment, to let it linger. What revelations lay hidden in their uncharted future, and how far were they willing to go in faith? With every heartbeat, Emma sensed a burning ember of belief rising gently, urging them all onward. Would they embrace this journey together? The answers awaited them, woven in the fabric of tomorrow. Emma felt the weight of the boy's question settle amongst the villagers, a quiet charge echoing through the gathering. The night air was thick with anticipation, and she could see many faces, some hopeful, others still etched with doubt. Their collective heart beat rhythmically, as if the spirit of unity was awakening within them. Grace, Emma began, her voice steady yet tender, is not just a concept. It's a living force. When we open ourselves to grace, we touch the edges of the divine. Sensing a gentle urging from the Spirit, Emma continued, think of a moment where you felt held, even when all seemed lost. Perhaps it was a kind word from a friend, a petal falling from a flower, or even a child's laughter. Those small moments are interwoven with grace, guiding us ever closer to hope. Mrs. Partridge half listened, her brows still furrowed. Yet even she could not help but let a thread of curiosity slip into her heart. Emma noticed the improvement, giving her a sense of encouragement. "Do you remember when we watched the sunset last week?" Emma addressed the crowd, inviting their memories. How the colors burst forth in loud celebration, a blending of reds and yellows that spilled vibrancy against the sky. That was grace reminding us of beauty. In our bleakest moments, we need to seek that beauty often hidden, yet always there. A ripple of understanding swept through the congregation. They shared knowing glances, connected by shared memories of life, love, and lessons. "A miracle does not have to be grand," Emma urged, her hands raised like branches in a storm. "Sometimes it's found in the whispers of the leaves or the sound of laughter that breaks through despair. When grace touches our lives, it allows us to rise beyond the noise of fear." A soft breeze swept through the square, rustling the trees and lifting some spirits. With that, Emma felt an inner warmth surround her. Words began to flow effortlessly, sending her thoughts soaring to the heavens. Belief invites us into a new experience. When we dare to step forward, faith begins to dance like light in the shadows. Suddenly, a voice emerged from the back. An old man, fragile yet fierce, called out, "But where do we start, Emma? How do we step into faith when uncertainty lingers like smoke?" Emma turned toward him, locks of her hair shifting in the breeze. "Start with honesty. Lay your doubts before God, like an open book. Talk to Him as you would a trusted friend. Your journey begins when you're brave enough to be vulnerable." The response was immediate. One by one, people began to share their own fears aloud, each voice emerging like a rising sun, filling the crowd with light and connection. "I fear I've failed," someone cried. Another added, "I don't know how I'll provide." Each confession was met with murmurs of affirmation, a chorus of unity surrounding them. Emma's heart raced as the atmosphere shifted. And yet in this shared burden, grace flourishes. You carry one another. Together you illuminate a path back to the light. The moon shimmered brightly overhead, casting a silver glow over the gathering. The village seemed to breathe in unison, anxiety melting away into warmth and acceptance. Emma could almost feel the grace they sought enveloping them, pooling like starlight on the ground. With a breath full of faith, she lifted her voice once more. "Let us let go. Let us embrace hope, for it is in unity, through grace, that we will discover the impossible." As cheers erupted from the villagers, Emma felt a deep stirring within her. Something she could scarcely comprehend flickered into existence, an inkling of a greater plan unfolding, one that would weave their lives in ways unforeseen. But as she basked in their joy, she caught sight of a shadow at the edge of the gathering, hidden beneath the trees. The air felt charged again, and a whisper echoed in her mind, caution wrapped in a longing plea. What was lurking in the darkness? And what would this mean for their journey ahead? As the villagers celebrated, Emma felt the pull of the unknown against her spirit, hinting at revelations just beyond reach. The moon hung high, its silvery light weaving through the trees and casting delicate patterns on the ground. Emma's breath caught as she felt the weight of the shadow pressing against her. It was an unfamiliar sensation, evoking both curiosity and trepidation. "Emma," whispered a familiar voice, breaking through the din of joyous celebration. It was Samuel, a young boy whose eyes shone with innocence. "What's wrong?" Emma glanced back at the villagers, their lively spirits dancing with hope. "Nothing is wrong, Samuel," she assured him, though uncertainty flickered in her heart. Yet the shadow loomed, deeper than she had anticipated, whispering of fears yet unspoken. With every cheer erupting from her community, Emma felt drawn to that lingering darkness. What secrets lay beneath its embrace? Gathering her courage, she stepped away from the group, moving toward the edge of the gathering. The air felt colder, the laughter fading into a distant hum. "Who is there?" she called, her voice firm yet tinged with a hint of apprehension. Silence answered, thick and heavy, as if the world held its breath. Then emerged a figure, cloaked in the shadows, eyes like glowing embers. Emma's heart raced. "Fear not, child," the figure spoke, voice gentle yet powerful, resonating deep within her. "I come not to cause fear, but to reveal a truth waiting to be uncovered." Emma's whimsy gave way to intrigue. "Why do you hide in the shadows?" The bravado in her words didn't quite mask the quiver within. "The world is often unsure of the light," the figure replied. "Yet it is in shadow that the seeds of wisdom are sown. You must understand, to embrace grace fully, one must also confront the darkness that dwells within." A shiver ran through Emma as she absorbed his words. In her heart, she knew the villagers had their own shadows to face, unspoken doubts that lingered like fog. "Are you saying we must confront our fears to find grace?" "Yes," the figure replied, stepping into the moonlight. His face was ageless, a blend of wisdom and compassion. "The journey toward grace demands vigilance. Each fear you face becomes a stepping stone towards hope, a transformation." Emma closed her eyes, allowing the truth of his words to sink deep into her spirit. "But how do we do that? How do we rise when we are weighted by what haunts us?" "Listen," his voice softened. "Gather your people. Share your burdens as you did just moments ago. In vulnerability lies strength. When the darkness is spoken, it loses its power, and grace flows freely." Feeling a warm glow spread within her, Emma opened her eyes. She sensed the gathering around her, still jubilant, but now filled with hidden fears waiting for release. She turned toward the villagers, her heart aflame with newfound purpose. "Everyone, I need you," she cried, raising her hands high. "Let us gather again. There is more to this moment than joy. There is healing to be found together. We cannot let shadows linger." Murmurs swelled among the crowd as they turned their attention to her, curiosity sparking in their eyes. Emma felt the weight of uncertainty dancing with anticipation. The dark figure nodded approvingly before retreating, blending seamlessly back into the whispering trees. "Remember," his voice echoed, softening the night air. "Grace awaits those who dare to confront darkness." As he faded into obscurity, Emma took a deep breath. She envisioned the release of burdens, the igniting of hope. Something sacred was stirring, and she could feel it thrumming through her veins. "Together, we will shine a light against the shadows," Emma proclaimed, her voice steady, confidence gathering within her. But as the villagers approached, eyes bright with curiosity, Emma sensed a stillness hanging in the air. What awaited them in this transformative moment? Would they find the courage to face their hidden fears? Or would the shadows prove too daunting? The sacred journey was only beginning, but every heart now danced on the precipice of revelation. Emma stood before the villagers, her heart racing with a strange mix of exhilaration and fear. She saw their gazes, bright yet filled with questions. Each face told a story, and within those stories lay the shadows she sensed earlier. The air was thick with anticipation, charged with an energy that felt almost divine. "Please," she continued, her voice ringing in the stillness, "let us come together. We must speak of those fears that dwell in the corners of our hearts. Only then can we step into the light." A ripple of unease traveled through the crowd. Whispers filled the air, carrying the weight of apprehension. They were not used to such directness. Who among them wished to unveil their hidden struggles? Then Samuel, with his innocent courage, stepped forward. I have fears," he admitted, his small voice quivering. The collective breath of the villagers hitched. "Sometimes, I'm scared that I'm not enough." Emma felt her heart swell, tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. "Yes, Samuel, that is a fear many of us carry. You are more than enough, and together we can remind one another of our worth." The villagers exchanged glances, and one by one, they began to share their burdens. A woman spoke of the anxiety that kept her awake at night. A man confessed to feeling isolated despite being surrounded by friends. As they spoke, the shadows began to lift. Light pierced through the fog of unexpressed emotions, revealing the beauty of vulnerability. With each shared fear, energy crackled in the air, replacing doubt with a sense of unity. They were no longer alone in their struggles. They were connected in a profound way. Emma closed her eyes for a moment, basking in the warmth that enveloped them, a holy presence drawing them closer. We are a tapestry woven from our struggles and triumphs. Each thread matters. Together we are stronger. Together we find grace. At that moment, the moonlight broke through the trees, bathing them in silver. The shadows receded, and they stood in the glow, feeling the embrace of something far greater than themselves. Now, Emma urged, her voice rising, let us pray together for strength to confront our fears. Let us invite grace into our lives. As they joined hands, a hush fell over the gathering. Hearts opened wide as they offered their fears, their dreams, and their hopes. Emma led them, words spilling forth with passion and conviction. May we cast aside the darkness. May our hearts be filled with light. Let fear lose its hold as we embrace the love and courage bestowed upon us. A deep peace washed over the crowd, like a gentle tide. Eyes glistened, and hands tightened around one another as burdens lifted, replaced by an unshakable trust. But as the prayer concluded, a soft rustling echoed from beyond the trees. Everybody turned, sensing the presence of something ominous awaiting just outside their circle of light. An electric tension filled the air once more, and Emma felt a stirring in her spirit. Who goes there? She called, surprising herself with her boldness. The shadows seemed to shift, and an overwhelming energy surrounded them. The villagers stood fast, some trembling, others breathless with excitement. What lurked in the darkness? Was it a warning, or perhaps a sign of the transformation yet to come? As the breeze whispered secrets through the branches, Emma's heart thudded in her chest. What awaited them beyond their courageous stand against the shadows? Would they emerge victorious? Or would new fears arise in their journey toward grace? The night held its breath, waiting to reveal the next part of their journey. The rustling grew louder, a sound that felt both foreign and familiar. Emma's heart drummed a wild rhythm, each beat echoing the fears she just shared with the villagers. The darkness seemed alive, a shape-shifting entity that played with shadows and beckoned the weary. Stay close, she urged, fear mingling with determination. The villagers huddled together, forming a protective circle, their hands still clasped in unity. They had shared their deepest fears. Now perhaps it was time to face whatever was lurking at the edges of their reality. With hesitant steps, Emma moved toward the shadows. It's okay. We're not afraid, she called, her voice firm. But was she trying to convince them or herself? She felt the sensation of countless eyes upon her, whispers of doubt fluttering delicately among their clasped hands. Then, from the depths of the dark, a figure emerged. It was cloaked in mystery, its outline shimmering like the stars above. The villagers instinctively gasped, a wave of uncertainty engulfing the gathering. Emma stood her ground, defiance kindling within her spirit. Who are you? What do you seek? The figure stepped into the light, revealing itself to be a woman of serene countenance, eyes aflame with wisdom that could only come from beyond. No harm shall come to you, she spoke, her voice melodic yet grounded. I bring a message, a divine reminder of your journey. Gasps of disbelief and awe traveled through the crowd. Emma felt a push of energy, a combination of fear and wonder. What message? She pressed, needing to understand. The shadows, the woman began, her gaze sweeping across the gathered faces, are not to be shunned, nor feared. They are the spaces where growth begins. Clarity lies beyond the darkness. Your fears can be your stepping stones to light. The villagers exchanged glances, a mixture of confusion and curiosity rippling through them. Emma sensed a collective yearning for understanding. Will you help us? Show us how we can transform our fears? She implored, clutching Samuel's hand tightly for reassurance. With a gentle nod, the woman continued, embrace the truth that darkness is transformative. Each fear you face will reveal a piece of your spirit, a thread in the tapestry that binds you. An electric energy surged through Emma, igniting a spark of hope. Purpose filled her heart as she whispered to herself, I am capable, filled with light. The woman raised her arms. Every moment of fear holds a lesson. Translate anguish into action, despair into purpose. Let your community be the anchor as you reach for your true selves. As she spoke, the air shimmered, and Emma noticed flickers of light dancing around the villagers' small, ethereal spirits emanating warmth. It was a vision of possibility taking root. But just as quickly, the woman's voice softened. Beware of the doubts that may still whisper in your hearts. The shadows may return with greater intensity. Only through steadfast faith and togetherness shall you prevail. A hush encased the crowd. Emma's eyes glistened. There was a promise hidden in the challenge. The tension throbbed in the air, vibrating with potential. Emma turned to Samuel, who smiled up at her, his childlike faith unwavering. "We can do this, can't we?" he asked, eyes sparkling with the hint of adventure. "Yes," Emma replied, her spirit burning bright within. "We are more powerful together. Let us embrace what comes next." The woman nodded in affirmation, her figure slowly receding back into the shadows. "Remember, your fears may speak loudly, but your courage speaks truer. Seek the light." As the last of her silhouette faded, the villagers exhaled collectively, buoyed by a fresh wave of courage. What lay ahead? Would they truly face their fears and transform as promised? Or would the shadows return more fierce than before? Emma's heart raced with excitement. The path ahead was uncertain, yet alive with promise. She looked at her friends, their faces glowing with renewed determination. "Let us step forward into tomorrow. Together," Emma proclaimed, stepping toward the wilderness of possibility that awaited them. As they forged ahead into the unknown, the night held more than secrets. It held the very essence of change. Little did they know, their true test was only just beginning. The villagers moved forward cautiously, each step filled with both apprehension and resolve. The flickering lights danced like fireflies, illuminating their path and echoing the spark of hope ignited within them. Emma felt the warmth of their energy wrapping around her, a collective heartbeat pulsing together with defiance. The shadows encroached, but now they no longer felt purely ominous. They were a canvas upon which their courage would paint new realities. "Remember what she said," Emma called out, her voice steady as she turned back to the group. "Each shadow we face is a step toward understanding ourselves better." Samuel nodded, his faith like a lighthouse guiding them. The other villagers echoed murmurs of encouragement, bolstering their spirits as they ventured deeper. The rustling sounds transformed. It was no longer merely the haunting whispers of fear. It felt like a language of its own, beckoning them to listen. Emma slowed her pace, tuning in to the melody of the night, a symphony of earthly desires and heavenly truths. "Do you hear that?" Emma whispered, glancing around at her companions. "I do," Samuel replied, his voice rising with excitement. "It's like the forest wants to sing with us." A smile tugged at Emma's lips. "Yes, it's inviting us to connect with everything around us. We're part of something much larger." In that moment, they stopped, letting their breath synchronize with the whispers of the wind. Each villager closed their eyes and took a breath, slowing time as awareness bubbled up from deep within. Out in the darkness, shadows played tricks, but together they flushed with light, weaving a tapestry of hope across the landscape. As they opened their eyes, Emma noticed subtle shifts in the atmosphere. Light gracefully spilled through the trees, revealing crisscross patterns of luminescence dancing in the air. The villagers felt the weight of their fears lifting, piece by piece, as their shared faith surged like a rising tide. "Look," Samuel shouted, pointing toward a nearby clearing. The moon shone brighter there, washing the area in silvery brilliance. "Let us go." Hands clasped, hearts racing, they hurried toward the illuminated spot, feeling buoyed by the presence of something truly divine. At the edge of the clearing, they paused, captivated by the beauty unfolding before them. A garden, lush and vibrant, untouched by the shadows lurking beyond the forest's edge. "This is paradise," one of the villagers breathed, stepping forward hesitantly. "Feels like a safe haven." Emma's heart raced with wonder. It's a reminder, a promise that light and hope persist, no matter the darkness. As they entered the clearing, an overwhelming sense of peace enveloped them. Blooms of every color stretched toward the sky, petals glistening with dew that caught the moonlight like diamonds. Fragrance lingered sweetly, invigorating their spirits as they meandered through the flowers. Suddenly, the whispers became words gentle and clear, echoing around them. Embrace this moment. This is where transformation begins. What do you mean? Emma asked, her voice trembling with anticipation. The garden is your reflection. Each bloom represents a fear you can conquer, each petal a lesson learned. The light whispers the truths you must unveil. Realization washed over her. This garden was more than just a sanctuary. It was a manifestation of their potential rising from the very depths of their struggles. As she knelt to touch a vibrant flower, a feeling of warmth spiraled within her. The shadows loomed in the distance, yet now they served as a reminder of their ever-present opportunity to grow. Samuel tugged at her sleeve, his eyes wide with wonder. Can we stay here forever? No. Emma replied softly. We must carry this light back with us. There are more shadows to face, and we have the tools to transform them, her voice firm with conviction. Together. In that moment, a heavy silence fell over the group, as if the universe itself paused to absorb their decision. The invitation to explore the uncertainties ahead flickered before them. With hearts drawn together, they recognized that true courage lay not just in the light but also in how they faced the darkness yet to come. What beasts of shadow awaited them? Would they continue to unveil the divine revelations hidden in the depths of their fears? Emma stood, ready for the challenge. The strength they discovered within would soon be put to the ultimate test. Let us take one more step toward the unknown, she urged, as the garden around them shimmered with promise and mystery. With hearts trembling yet hopeful, the villagers gazed into the luminescent garden, their eyes reflecting the shimmering aura around them. With every breath, they drew in the sweet scent of blossoms, inhaling the promise of transformation that danced in the air. Emma stood at the forefront, her spirit ignited with a determination to guide her friends forward as they stepped deeper into the garden. Each footfall resonated with a soft thrum, as if the earth itself celebrated their journey. The vibrant colors around them were not just beautiful. They were alive with energy that pulsed in rhythm with their hearts. Samuel's voice broke through the reverie. Emma, what do we do next? We listen, she replied, her gaze sweeping across the garden. We open our hearts to what is here, what needs to be known. Her voice trailed off, something calling to her from the depths of the green. As if on cue, a gentle breeze rustled through the flowers, and the once soft whispers returned, now louder, more insistent. Seek the truth that resides within. Emma felt a tug in her chest, a forming realization that cascaded like waves. It's asking us questions. What are the fears hidden behind the shadows we've seen? What truths are waiting to be revealed? The villagers stood in awe, absorbing the significance of the moment. Are we ready to uncover what these shadows have kept from us? One of them murmured, uncertainty lacing their voice. Samuel took a breath, challenging the hesitance. What if we discover something beautiful hidden in our fears? There's power in our vulnerability. In that moment, the beauty of the garden transformed before their eyes. The flowers swayed in unison, petals shimmering like stars against the darkened backdrop of the forest. The essence of the garden seemed to pulse in agreement, giving life to Samuel's courageous words. Encouraged by this spiritual awakening, Emma knelt by a particularly vibrant bloom, its petals bold and inviting. Let us each take a fear we've had and ask how it can teach us. What lesson have we avoided? One by one, each villager sank into the ground, touching the flowers closest to them. They shared their fears aloud, weaving a tapestry of their innermost struggles, each confession becoming a thread within the garden's fabric. I fear being alone, whispered another. As more fears flowed like water, Emma felt an energy enveloping the group. These fears bond us. They are not weaknesses but pathways to deeper understanding. We embrace our shadows to ignite our light. Suddenly, the flowers glowed brighter, sending tendrils of light spiraling into the sky. The overwhelming sense of peace turned into an ecstatic thrill, a wave of divine joy that coursed through their hearts. "Look," Samuel shouted, his voice full of wonder. "It's like the garden is showing us fear is just the beginning of a grand story." Emma stood, feeling the truths rising within her like a chorus. They had ventured here not just to seek safety but to seek growth through their fears. The light is always within us. It's how we choose to face the darkness that reveals it. As if affirming her, the moonlight shifted, casting radiant beams through the trees above. A hushed awe swept over the villagers, each heart now pulsing with a combined strength and undeniable knowing that they were not alone. But in that anticipation, something niggled at the edge of Emma's awareness. A sense of urgency nipped at her heels. What awaited them in the shadows beyond this divine garden? Were they truly prepared to turn inward, facing the reflections of their own fears on the path that lay ahead? "Let us carry this light. And remember," she said quietly, "transformation is not just what happens here. It is what we take back into the world." With their hearts filled with budding courage and resolve, the villagers edged toward the garden's exit, glittering light from the flowers trailing them like a cloak of faith. They were ready to face the unknown together, stronger for all that had surfaced. But would they find light in the shadows they would soon confront? What awaited them beyond the gates of this sanctuary? Emma took a deep breath, every muscle tightened with nervous energy. She could feel the anticipation swirling around them like a tempest. The next challenge awaited just beyond their knowing. In the quiet aftermath of their sacred gathering, hope glimmered in the eyes of the villagers. Together, they stood before the threshold of the garden, both a refuge and a launchpad. Emma felt the gentle push of faith behind her. The air thrummed with divine energy, each heartbeat resonating with the promise of what lay ahead. "Let us embrace this journey into the light," Emma declared, her voice soaring above the gentle rustle of leaves. With each step out of the garden, it felt as though they were shedding layers of doubt that no longer served them. The fears they had confessed now transformed into cherished lessons, fluttering around them like butterflies freed from their cocoon. But the shadows loomed nearby, cold and foreboding. Emma sensed they would require more than just words of comfort. They needed action. As they approached the forest's edge, an electric energy crackled in the air. Samuel, his youthful heart and spirit unwavering, reached for Emma's hand. "What do we do now?" His eyes sparkled with determination. "Now we face what lies in the dark," Emma urged, squeezing his small hand with fierce conviction. "But remember, just as we nourished our truths in the garden, we allow that same light to guide us through these shadows. We walk together." With resolute hearts, the villagers stepped into the uncertain twilight. Each step beyond the familiar was both a challenge and a sacred commitment to rising above the veils of fear that still lingered. Emma led the way, her spirit a beacon shining through the darkened path, calling forth the bravery that melded within them all. Suddenly, a gust of wind whipped through the trees, carrying whispers of the deep-rooted worries they had once kept hidden. "Will anything change? What if we fail?" Their doubts surged momentarily, echoing like faint drums in a distant storm. Emma paused, lifting her hands, a gesture that commanded silence. "Fear has no power over a heart filled with faith," she proclaimed, and the villagers echoed her words, their voices intertwining. "Fear has no power over us." It was a potent affirmation, a sword cutting through the darkness. Together, they felt an unfolding, a new awareness of purpose. Courage took root within them, transforming uncertainty into unity as they forged ahead. Ancient trees cast long, ominous shadows. Yet each shadow that loomed seemed less threatening, as if their collective light pierced through the darkness. Emma knew they could not stop now. Every footstep was infused with the wisdom they discovered, and every whisper of doubt began to dissolve. Suddenly, the path opened into a wide, moonlit clearing. Their raw fears laid before them in the form of daunting challenges. Before them stood a towering wall of darkness, slumbering doubts ready to engulf anyone who dared approach. But Emma felt a sacred warmth surge within the collective, a message from the heavens to stand firm. "Let us raise our voices and declare our intent," Emma shouted, her heart thundering. We choose faith over fear. We choose hope over despair. The villagers rallied around her, their voices melding into a symphony of commitment. The darkness recoiled, reluctant to confront such a singular force of love and courage. Emma lifted her hands high as if pulling the heavens closer. This is our moment. Together we declare, no more shall fear rule our hearts. Light ignited from within them, pulsating outward as the villagers joined hands, each grip a testament to unity. With a sound that could only be described as sacred thunder, the darkness shattered like glass. The jubilant cries of joy erupted, mingling with the wind as their hearts soared into the night sky. The fears that once held them captive were gone, replaced with laughter, genuine warmth, and empowered souls reclaiming their light. As dawn began to break, the first rays of sunlight spilled forth, washing over them with warmth and promise. Emma looked around, taking in the transformed faces of her friends. Each one glowed with newfound strength, a living testament to the battles they had faced together. This is just the beginning, Emma whispered, her heart overflowing with gratitude. We have tasted the glory of divine transformation, and now we carry it into our lives. Each of us will be changemakers, shining light into the world everywhere we go. Tears of joy flowed freely as they embraced, an unbreakable bond born of struggle, revelation, and divine grace. They had conquered the darkness, illuminated by faith and unified in purpose. With each sunrise, the village became a beacon of hope, a place where fears transformed into wisdom, and love bound them tighter than ever. Emma turned her gaze to the horizon, her spirit invigorated with divine promise. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them not as individuals rattled by doubt, but as a community emerged from struggle, emboldened by faith. They were warriors of light, destined to convey the very truths that had transformed their hearts forever. Friends, as you journey with Emma and the villagers, do not miss the call to action. You need to subscribe now to our channel. Do it immediately so you do not miss the next exclusive faith stories that uplift the spirit. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this divine message far and wide. We invite you to comment your reactions and personal testimonies about this. Ending your experiences matter. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of hope. Let the light shine, my brothers and sisters. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions. Join us as we embark on more transformative journeys together.